So now we are going to listen to the Avyakt murli. The murli that I have chosen for all of us today is of the 20th of January, 1981. And the essence of this murli is those who have all rights over their minds, intellects, and sanskaras become images who bestow blessings. Those who have all rights over their minds, intellects, and sanskaras become images who bestow blessings. Today, the Father, the bestower of blessings and the bestower of fortune, is seeing his children who are great donors and bestowers of blessings. Oftentimes Baba says three words: Dani, Mahadani, and Vardani. So Dani is one who gives or donor. Mahadani is one who is a great donor. And then there is Vardani, that is giver of blessings or bestower of blessings. And Bhagya Vidhata is another word that Baba uses alongside these words. So Baba is the bestower of fortune and the bestower of blessings. So bestower of fortune is Bhagya Vidhata, and bestower of blessings is Vardani. So, and then he's seeing his children. So, who are we? We are Mahadani, that is great donors, and we are Vardani, that is bestowers of blessings. So, at present, all of you are playing your parts of great donors according to your capacity. We are all great donors, but we are all playing that part to our capacity, actually. Everyone's capacity is different. However, as the end of the final period is now coming close, especially now that you have to play your parts of bestowers of blessings in a practical way. So you see, these are steps, these are, stages for the soul to grow through. One is to become a donor, the next is to become a great donor. So today, in a way, Baba is not even talking about becoming a donor. Baba wants us to become great donors, but not just stop there, become bestowers of blessings, donors of blessings to others. So you great donors especially serve through your words, but the percentage of you who serve through your minds simultaneously is a little less. You see, Baba wants both of these things to happen simultaneously in a parallel fashion rather than one after the other in a serial fashion. You see, because that's a way to multitask. It's really multitasking. That way you can achieve so much more. See, we all have 24 hours. People who, on one hand, are efficient, you see, they don't waste any time, are able to accomplish a lot. And secondly, people who multitask actually are able to do so much more. So Baba is teaching us that while we are serving through our words, we have to simultaneously serve through our minds. Your percentage of serving through words would be higher than your percentage of serving through your minds. As bestowers of blessings, your percentage of serving through your minds is higher than serving through words. So if we become bestower of blessings, which Baba wants us to become, then we'll be able to serve. Then we should be actually serving with or through our minds more than serving through our words. So serving through your mind, and what does that mean? It means that with your good wishes and pure feelings, you can see the practical fruit of greater service in a shorter time. You see, when you serve with your good wishes and pure feelings, you will see the practical fruit of greater service in a shorter time, which means that we will be laboring less and less. We'll be accomplishing more and more automatically. So these are the tricks that Baba is, sharing with us to be able to rise to our excellence. So in order to serve as a bestower of blessings, you first of all need to have pure thoughts for yourself. You see, before we have pure thoughts for others, and it's a practice in itself. Because many times when you see people around you doing wrong things, how do you have good thoughts, pure thoughts for them? But sometimes when we goof up, and we goof up many, many times, so is it easy to have pure thoughts for ourselves? Sometimes we get dejected, sometimes we feel disheartened, sometimes we feel hopeless. But to hold pure thoughts for ourselves, no, Shwetank, you can do it. Or you can say your name, yes, I can do it. To hold pure thoughts for ourselves is also a big task many times for us. And Baba wants us to do that. Hmm? So you also specially need to practice controlling all your thoughts in a second. You see, say if I'm having a run of negative thoughts. No, you can't do anything. You're good for nothing. Saying to myself, let's say I'm saying to myself, you can't do anything good. What, you goofed up again. You messed up again. You screwed up again. What's going on? I don't think you can ever reach your perfection. So let's say there is just a chain of thoughts like this, uncontrolled negative thoughts. Then how will we rise to our excellence? So Baba wants us to be able to control these thoughts, control all our thoughts actually in a second, not take too long to control them. So throughout the day, float along in the waves of the ocean of pure thoughts. Throughout the day, float along in the waves of the ocean of pure thoughts and go to the bottom of the ocean of pure thoughts. So Baba wants us to do surfing. And at the same time, Baba wants us to do deep sea diving. And become an embodiment of silence when you want. So going deep in the ocean of pure thoughts would mean that we are becoming embodiments of silence. You see, on the surface, the ocean can seem rough with all these huge waves that keep coming on the surface of the ocean. But deep inside, there is no movement. It's extremely silent. So this means that your break needs to be fully powerful. You need to be able to control the power of your mind. And as well as this power, the other two powers of the soul, your intellect and your sanskaras, all three powers need to be under the control of you, the soul. See, what does Baba want us to have or to be able to accomplish? That we should be able to control not just our minds, but also our intellects and our sanskaras. If you have less of a right over even one of your three powers, you're not able to do as much service as you could as an embodiment of a bestower of blessings. Yeah, then we fall short of becoming a true embodiment of a bestower of blessings. Yeah, so there is thinking and there is discerning. So mind thinks, so we use the mind to think, we use the intellect to discern. Samaj, soch, and samaj. This year, just as you have created the great task of the great yagya, that is a sacrificial fire, you also have to play the special part of a great donor for this great yagya. So we have created the great yagya, but we have to become great donors. We have to play that part of becoming a great donor for this great yagya. You also have to sacrifice into this great yagya any weakness that stops you from having all rights over the three powers of the soul. So what do we have to sacrifice into this great yagya? See, in yagya, whenever a yagya is created, we are supposed to sacrifice things, and people would sacrifice their grains and ghee, right? That is clarified butter and so on and so forth. So what does that mean? We have to learn the art of sacrificing our weaknesses. And what is the weakness that Baba wants us to sacrifice? The weakness that stops you from having all rights over the three powers of the soul. Yeah, so whatever is holding us back, in being able to exercise all rights over all these three powers, that is, mind, intellect, and sanskaras of the soul. The task you have to carry out is an unlimited task. In order to carry out this unlimited task, you need to have positive thoughts for yourself and good wishes for others. In order to carry out this unlimited task, you need to have positive thoughts for yourself and good wishes for others. Be a master bestower of all powers. And with your elevated thoughts, be a master bestower of blessings and go to the bottom of the ocean and become an extremely sweet and peaceful light and might house. We need to go to the bottom of the ocean and become extremely sweet and peaceful light and might houses. This is the form through which you should serve. Why? Because this is what will make us most productive. One might say, what is the need for me to do all this? Why do I need to go to the bottom of the ocean and create such a powerful stage, the light and might house stage that Baba talks about all the time? But that's what's going to give us the fulfillment that we want. Say, whatever service that we will undertake, we'll get a lot of results, good results out of that. And we'll feel contented. We'll have a sense of fulfillment, sense of accomplishment. So just as you come onto the stage of service and use your physical facilities, you also need to experience your form of silence to the same extent. And in this way, become an embodiment of success. Just as you come onto the stage of service and use your physical facilities, you also need to experience your form of silence to the same extent. And in this way, become an embodiment of success. You have created very good facilities for service. You're making this yajna even greater for unlimited service. So you also have to make this great yajna of gathering into a Shanti Kund. That is vessel of silence with great intensity. So we are using all these different methods for service. You see, tools. We're using social media now to serve, but at the same time, we shouldn't stop or we shouldn't ignore this very important service that we have to do. That is, we have to create a Shanti Kund, that is, vessel of silence. The sacrificial fire for service means to plow the field of serving souls of the world with words. When a field is plowed, the earth is turned over. That is, the soil is turned over. Sometimes the top soil is not as healthy, not as nutrition dense, but the lower one is. So when we do that, when we plow through the fields, then the lower surface soil then comes up, and that way you get a better harvest. So only after you have plowed the field do you sow the seeds. You can water those seeds with coolness, and those seeds will then bear fruit. What is Baba saying? You can water those seeds with coolness and with your power of silence. So yes, we have plowed the earth with words. That's great. But then what do we have to do? We sow the seeds. Yeah? Plowing, sowing, doing the action. But then Baba wants us to water the seeds with coolness and your power of silence, and those seeds will then bear fruit. Do not think that just because you have created a great yajna for service, you have now finished the main part of service. No, you have plowed the field and sown the seeds. It is this part, I'll repeat it. It is this that takes a lot of effort. After doing this, in order to harvest the fruit of the seeds you have sown, by serving as a great donor, you also have to serve as a bestower of blessings. You see, otherwise, what would happen is we would make so much of effort, right, to plow the fields and to sow the seed. But if we don't water those seeds with coolness and power of silence, then the seeds won't germinate well, you see, and there won't be a good enough harvest. So it will be a waste of effort, waste of time. So Baba is saying, you've done a great job, you've become a great donors, you have plowed the fields and you've sown the seeds, but now it's important to become bestower of blessings. To be a bestower of blessings means to keep yourself constantly full of blessings. So we can give only when we are full, when we have enough. So, what was the first blessing you received? Baba is now reminding us of all the blessings that we have already received. So, as soon as each of you took this divine birth, what was the first blessing you received? A blessing is something for which no effort is required. Baba calls blessings as lift. If you are taking the stairs, then it can be quite tedious, it can be tiring. On the other hand, if you just get onto a lift, the lift can take you up 100 floors and you won't feel a thing. So similarly, blessing is a lift that it actually frees us from all efforts. So what blessing did you receive through which you easily have all attainments? Yeah, but just like that example of the lift, the physical lift, you have to make the effort to, press the button, and when the elevator doors open, you have to enter the elevator. That's the little bit of effort one has to do, and then the lift will do everything. You inside too, you'll have to press the button to which floor you need to go to. So here too, we have to make some effort, you see. It's the blessing won't start working for us without any effort. So once we make that little bit of effort, then the blessings will automatically take us up. So what blessings did you receive through which you easily have all attainments? Does each one of you have a different blessings, or is it the same blessing for all of you? When you relate your blessings, each one of you relates a different blessing. However, all of you have one and the same blessing. You know, it's the same blessing, but different forms, so different names that we give to that blessing. It is a blessing that the Father has accepted all of you. It is the blessing that the Father has accepted all of you without any effort on your part. In the beginning, the sisters used to ask us, God found you or you found God? And the answer clearly is that God found us, right? We were trying to search for God, but our efforts were not really taking us anywhere, getting us anywhere. And Baba then finally came and plucked us out of this world, out of the multi-millions who are living on this planet. Baba chose us. So see, Baba is the one who found us. Baba is the one who is doing everything for us. He has accepted us without any effort on our parts, without his thinking or considering how weak you souls may be or how much courage you lack. It is this: whatever you are, however you are mine. Jo ho, jaise ho, mere ho. So whether you call this a lottery, your fortune, or a blessing, whether you call it a lottery, your fortune, or a blessing, it gives you all rights to your inheritance in a second, and it is given to you by the Father himself. Baba switched on your switch of the consciousness of belonging to him. You never thought that you could ever have such a good fortune. However, the Father, the bestower of fortune, gave you this blessing of such fortune. As Baba saying, the Father, the bestower of fortune, gave you this blessing of such fortune. This blessing gave you, in a second, all rights to your inheritance for many births. To become a constant embodiment of the consciousness of this blessing, to become a constant embodiment of the consciousness of this blessing means to become a bestower of blessings. That Baba has chosen us Baba has plucked us out of millions. Baba has made us his, no matter how we were, what we were. Baba took us as his. So the Father gave each of you the same blessing in just a second. Whether you are a young child or an elderly person, whether you have a high position or whether you're just ordinary, whether you're healthy or ill, no matter what religion you belong to, which country you came from, whether you're educated or uneducated, each of you has been given the same blessing. You're number wise in putting this blessing into your life and in becoming an embodiment of the consciousness of it. Some of you become an embodiment of this blessing constantly, and others are only conscious of it sometimes. So, because of this difference, two rosaries are created. The beads of the rosary of those who are constant embodiments of the consciousness of this blessing, they are constantly turned and remembered. The beads of the rosary of those who only use this blessing sometimes, or who are only conscious of this blessing sometimes, are only turned sometimes. You see, if we remember sometimes, we will be remembered sometimes. If we are constantly in that awareness, if we are remembering, we are embodiments of remembrance of this blessing, then we'll be remembered constantly as well. If you go into Mahabharat, there are many instances of many characters who would forget the blessings that they have been given, or their strengths or their powers. And they would be reminded, and suddenly when they would be reminded by someone else, then they would remember, oh, yes, 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 I have this power or have this ability to use this weapon to save the world, or, save ourselves from defeat or so, and whatever it else it could be. But it is that those characters would time and again forget that they had that power. Yes. So we shouldn't become like that. We become that all the time. But Baba wants us to now upgrade ourselves to the state, to the level that we are constant embodiments of this blessing. And along with the blessings, all the powers, you see. And only when we become embodiments of blessings, then we can give or become bestowers of blessings to others. So the former are the bestowers of blessings, that is, they remain constant embodiments of this first blessing. Those who constantly belong to the Father can also make others constantly belong to the Father. You see, very simple equation. If we constantly belong to the Father, only then we can make others constantly belong to the Father. You did not have to make any effort to claim this blessing. The Father Himself adopted you. Just remember this one blessing constantly, and you'll be freed from having to labor. It is when you forget your blessing that you have to labor. Now, through your form of a bestower of blessings, serve with the power of your mind. Now, through your form of a bestower of blessings, serve with the power of your mind. This year, using your own powers and virtues, bring weak souls closer to the Father. What do we have to do? Baba is giving us the homework that through our own virtues and powers, we have to bring weak souls closer to the Father. At present, the majority of souls have the pure desire to gain spiritual power. The majority of souls have the pure desire to gain spiritual power because they know that it is only by having spiritual power that they can achieve what no one else can achieve. Yeah, now they know physical power is not going to help, intellectual power is not going to help, financial power is not going to help, military power is not going to help. What's going to help is spiritual power. That's the only way we can experience true power, to be able to achieve something meaningful. So, however, they lack the courage to follow the path of spirituality. This is so interesting. Yeah. Let's say somebody has heart attack, but then at the same time, the person has fear of going to the hospital. It's only when you go to the hospital can your heart attack be fixed. But no, oh, what if they give me injections? What if they have to put an IV in me? I'm very afraid of the IV. And oh, I won't go to the hospital. But then how will you live? You'll have more and more problems. If it's a small heart attack, it's very possible, even if you don't go to the hospital, you may survive it. Yeah, but it's going to create some long-term effect, long-term problems. So here to Baba is saying that spiritual practice, that is spirituality, is what's going to take you there. However, many have the fear, or there is lack of courage to follow spirituality. Yeah, so then they are never able to reach there. So the one leg of desire is visible in them. So desire plus courage. You see, we need both. Desire is willingness, and then the courage is the capacity, the power to walk on that path. So therefore, you must now use your own power to give them the second leg of courage. Interesting, isn't it? Sometimes we have to be creative in igniting desire in their hearts too. You know, in a way, we have to sell this to them, like a good salesman, that it's not for your own sake you're doing it, but you kind of have to learn, or we have to kind of learn how to convince people actually that there is something way bigger than you can ever imagine. If you start practicing spirituality, if you try to understand what God is telling all of us, then you can achieve the unachievable. So that desire we have to ignite in them. But then just igniting desire is not going to be enough. The next step is to give them power too. You see, sometimes it's so important, that on one hand, this is what we would be told earlier on, when we used to go to the center, that when we started teaching the courses to others, we were told that just telling them about this knowledge is not enough. We have to empower them as well. Because if we don't, then it is as if we are throwing soldiers onto the battlefield, but not giving them guns, not giving them ammunition to be able to fight. So they are not going to survive. So we have to, of course, create desire in their hearts. And if they already have desires, great, so desire to reach their excellence. But then we have to also empower them. That is, give the second leg of courage to them. Only then will they be able to walk and come close to the Father. At present, they lack the courage to come close. First of all, give them courage and enthusiasm with your own blessings and make them feel that they can also become like you. Only with your cooperation will those weak souls be able to claim a right to blessings. Only when you bestowers of blessings make those lame ones walk, will they thank you again and again. Only when you bestowers of blessings make those lame ones walk, will they thank you again and again. Some will become your devotees and others will become your subjects. There will also be those who come last and go fast. So, do you understand what you have to do this year? Yeah, what do we have to do? We have to become bestowers of blessings for others. See, so we have to plow the fields, we have to sow the seeds, but then we have to water the seeds with coolness and with power, right? So, do you understand what you have to do this year? Just as you have enthusiastically spread the word far and wide about your great yajna, everywhere. So, to along with the task of this yagya, spread the word with enthusiasm everywhere about the atmosphere and vibrations of the Shanti Kund, that is the vessel of silence. So, yes, we are spreading the word around with enthusiasm, but we have to also create the atmosphere and spread the vibrations of the Shanti Kund. Just as you make new pictures and prepare floats, lectures, and platforms for this great yajna, now all you Brahmins everywhere also become living pictures and floats as light and might houses. Yeah, so one is to carry pictures of pictures of banners and floats that we can show to others. People can see those. But Baba now also wants us to become living pictures, living floats, living light and might houses. Prepare lectures on the power of the mind and the power of silence. Go on to a platform in the Karmati stage and play the parts of bestowers of blessings. Only then will perfection come close. This year, for the task of the unlimited service that you are going to do, you have to go onto the stage of service in a collective form with the one slogan of revelation. And what is that slogan of revelation? One strength and one support. That Baba is my strength, Baba is my support. There is no other strength, no other support. You see the problem in having more than one support. That is, I have other people that I rely on other than Baba. You see, the problem is that those supports are eventually going to fall apart. And the more I use them, the more I will start relying on them, more I'll become dependent on them. And one day when they fall apart, that's when I'm also going to fall with them. So Baba doesn't want us to see us in, pain and suffering at that time, doesn't want us to fall apart at that time. So Baba is reminding us, just make Baba as your strength, Baba as your support. All of you Brahmins have to give your finger of cooperation to accomplish this task. In the same way, this year, with this one thought of all of you, you have to become practical forms of bestowers of blessings and accomplish this unlimited task. Do you understand what you now have to do? Yeah, that we have to accomplish this unlimited task. So now the salutations to those who are stable in the stage beyond sound. To those who are stable in the stage beyond sound, whilst coming into sound. So we have to be stable in the stage beyond sound, that is in silence, while coming into sound. So there needs to be silence while we are in sound, while we are speaking to people. So one is they need to, of course, hear our words. Sure, why not? But they should also be able to hear our silence. Oftentimes, it's important to understand something which we oftentimes ignore, that silence is a language in itself. It has its own grammar, it has its own punctuation, it has its own rules, just like every language has rules. So this has rules too. And so think of sound going through, you see, traveling, sound waves travel, right? From one place to the other, from say my mouth to somebody else's ears. He or she may be standing, say, 10 feet away. Similarly, silence also travels. Silence has waves too. And so people will experience your silence if you create it with enough strength or enough power. Just like if, say, you speak to someone, but you're speaking in a very meek way, very softly, then the person may not hear you. The sound waves will not go through the space that is there between the two people. It won't go across to the other person. Similarly, silence also needs to be powerful enough to be able to go across to the other side. So again, to those who are stable in the stage beyond sound, whilst coming into sound, to those who give other souls courage through your own courage. So not just desire, but also the second leg of courage. To those who bring other souls close through their own closeness. Yeah, close to whom? Close to Baba, close to God, so that they can experience God's peace, God's happiness, God's love, God's power, God's strength themselves, just like we have experienced. But how can they experience that closeness? Only through our own closeness. to those who enable lame souls to run the race. Yeah, by giving them the leg of courage. To such great donors, Mahadani, and bestower of blessings, that is Vardani. To those souls who are close to Bab Dada's love, remembrance, and namaste.